Hey, what's going on, people? Welcome to another picture-in-picture commentary of the history of comics on film. This is Derek Crabb. Just going through, I figure I don't have to talk too much about the intros because I probably talked about this older intro a lot in the other picture-in-picture commentaries. But these are the point 0.5 episodes. Basically, they were comic book movies that I missed during my first season, my first run through the decades where I did the 40s and the 50s. And so I put in point 0.5 episodes to, still keep the same numbering scheme I had, but just to, make sure that they fit in between, the chronological sequencing that I've been going for when doing this project. When I posted these on Earth's Mightiest, they were actually in sequential order. I had already finished editing these by the time, and there's a shout out to You the Man Now Dog, but another one. Anyway, but yeah, that's kind of what some of these things reminded me of. But anyway, the point 0.5 episodes were things that I had missed before. And like I said in the last commentary on Tex Granger, it was thanks to a fellow named Frankie who I met on different message boards and websites and stuff, and we struck up a friendship because we were both interested in collecting, and I'm chronicling all these comic book, movie, film, television, animation adaptations, and he was very interested in those as well, and he was the one who pointed these out to me, so thanks for that, Frankie. And also, what was really great about researching the comics for King of the Congo was the original King of the Congo was done by Frank Frazetta, which would have been really cool if they could have, added some of that early Frazetta stuff into these serials. I think it would have made them a little more interesting. The whole dinosaur, almost, kind of savage land type setting that was in at least the first issue. They had like pterodactyls and dinosaurs running around. And then what was really sad was I think it was while I was writing this, so it wasn't while I was editing. By the time I was editing, I had already made up my mind to do this, but I think while I was writing this, I found out that Frank Frazetta had passed away. So I decided I was going to, acknowledge that, at least in this video. I know there's other creators who I talk about who have probably passed away, but since it sort of, I guess, happened right then and there at the time, I felt like acknowledging it. So yeah, but anyway, yeah, and Frank Frazetta's done a lot of really cool stuff that I thought I could talk about while we were, talking about King of the Congo. And yeah, I mean, you might say, oh, they don't have the technology to do it, but I just wanted to point out with even the Lost World made in 1926, I mean, they could have done something. They could have used some cheesy, I don't know, they could have bought some stock footage or something, but I guess it was one of those serials where they don't really, I don't know, it was pretty low budget, so I guess I could understand why they wouldn't have all this kind of fancy special effects, but it would have been cool, at least. I like to sort of imagine or speculate how things might have been cooler. But again, this was edited by this point with Premiere. And I'm really happy with the way some of these Photoshop inserts of some of the Frazetta comic panels into the King Kong screen and different things like that. And yeah, and I did see a similarity with Green Arrow and Thunder in regards to how in the first issue, at least, he often used the bow and arrow, and he ended up training himself, through the rigors of the island, kind of like Green Arrow did, except for his island had dinosaurs and all kinds of crazy, saber-toothed tigers and stuff like that on it. But yeah, so Yeah, and then I kind of mentioned here in the commentary too, or in the actual video about how I thought maybe the comics ended up getting watered down so that the film gets made cheap. But you know, again, I would kind of like to imagine like, oh well, they did it in Flash Gordon. I mean, it's not like it cost money to shoot a lizard and blow it up, you know, on back of a screen. But I don't know, maybe it was too much for the movie serials because the gorilla suit does look pretty silly. But I guess the gorilla suit was cheaper than doing something creative with lizards or whatever. Yeah, and this was kind of weird because he didn't have a saber-toothed tiger in the movie serial. He had a kind of a useless monkey pet where he just kind of didn't help out, and you know, you're like, come on, dude, like all you have to do is look out for the bad guys. But then meanwhile he's sitting there like scratching his balls, like, come on, dude, like what are you doing? And then I felt bad for all the tribes people who were supposed to be like the good guys and whatever, because they all get lame or they all get nailed right here. Because I'm like, dude, the rock people get nailed, and it's like they would have never gotten exposed if it wasn't for the monkey screaming like a crazy. All these monkeys here screaming in the trees. But yeah, you know, like I said, I had never read King of the Congo or Thunder comics before, but I knew Frank Frazetta from the DC stuff, from The Shining Knight and from Fire and Ice and those movies. So I was kind of like interested and excited like to see early work. You know, even the old Ghost Rider or whatever. I guess they call him the Phantom Rider now, but you know the old Western Ghost Rider. You know all that stuff to you know kind of go, oh yeah, you know like this is the guy who was involved in all that, uh, all those other comics and stuff. So and it's kind of nice to discover that he was also involved in this as well. At least the comic book, the first issue anyway. And then this is something that I was happy to be able to do the shot by shot, and this was a little easier to do in Premiere than it is in Movie Maker. In Movie Maker, you kind of have to go through this far-fangled process where you capture some footage and you rotate it on its side, and then you capture that, and then you do a 360, and then eventually it's side by side. But in Premiere, it's you know it's a pretty simple matter of layers and everything and setting that up. And that really did look a lot to me like Empire Strikes Back. I don't know if anybody else sees the same thing, but hopefully it comes across pretty well the way I put them together there. And you can follow kind of how I saw Thunder hanging upside down to be very similar, you know, waiting for a jungle cat to do them in, the same thing as the Wampa, you know, waiting to do in Thunder. So, and then of course, you know, there's my namesake Buster Crab, which is cool, Flash Gordon and all that stuff. So, anyway, I hope you enjoy listening to these commentaries, these picture-in-picture commentaries, and please keep watching on the comic book movie site if you like watching there. And thanks to everybody who's been so supportive, like Bot Talk. And thanks to Grimlock from Bot Talk. He was kind enough to donate some DVDs to the project, which I was really pleasantly surprised and very happy about. So thanks for that. And yeah, anyway, yeah, this was a little more silent. And I guess it doesn't matter anyway because I'm talking over it now. So there's nothing to hear. But yeah, I kind of made this credit sequence a silent one in honor of Frank Frazetta. And trying to think if there's anything else I should mention before we sign off here. Um, Well, we got a bunch of stuff coming up. I've got some special things planned for January, and so keep watching, and there'll be some more videos coming up soon. So thanks a lot. Thanks for all the support and everybody who sends me comments and questions and emails and stuff like that. So I appreciate everyone who watches. Thanks a lot. Take care, guys.